Now, you know me. I have a very wide variety of things that I throw on this channel. And today, we're going to talk about Unfaithful. Speaking of variety, I don't know if I've really put out a review talking about something like this to this extent. This is not an action movie, it's more of a drama type of romantic drama, and it stars Richard Gere, and it's got Diane Lane, and it's about a working man's wife who becomes unfaithful. She's hitting middle age. She's in her late 30s to early 40s. Richard Gere's in his 40s. And they've been married for quite a while. They have a child together. And the child's played by the youngest brother of Malcolm in the Middle. I don't know the kid's name. But he's in this movie. And he seems to be roughly the same age he was in the Malcolm in the Middle show. So that goes to show you how old this movie is. It's not that old, it's not like Dracula, Bela Lugosi old, but it is old, and then it's like 20 years old. It's an older movie. And so the wife ends up having an affair, sleeping with a Frenchman who is in his 20s. So the affair tends to be primarily choice-based. The Frenchman basically lets her make the decision to come to him. Now, he obviously makes it clear that he is flirting with her, but she can make every decision to not reciprocate. She can make every decision not to contact him ever again, and stay faithful to her husband. It is all entirely her choice. That is exactly the type of vibe you get from the Frenchman. So while he's willing to participate in an affair, he is making it clearly obvious that she's the one making the choices to have the affair. She's making the choices to cheat on Richard Gere. Now, who is Richard Gere in this movie? Is he a nice husband? Yes, he's a good father. He's a good husband. They generally have a very nice marriage. But it's not necessarily exciting, if you will. It's not spicy. Her affair with the Frenchman is very spicy. They have some of the most exciting types, adventurous and dangerous types of a body entanglement that I could to the extent that I could describe. They have intercourse in the bathroom of a cafe, for example. They're going all over the place and doing it in very dangerous places near her friends who know Richard Gere, know her husband. So she is playing very dangerously, and he knows that this excites her, so he's playing along with it and getting it all, and she's getting into it. She's very into it, basically. But she starts to learn that this affair is affecting her home life with her child. She is neglecting her child. That's the one thing that she didn't want to do. She ended up missing her child, missing picking him up from school because she decided to go have fun with the Frenchman and do some exciting debaucherous intercourse somewhere and all that stuff. And that's when she realizes this is too dangerous. This is not what she wants to do anymore. So she tries to break it off, and the Frenchman realizes she's not really wanting to break it off, or he gets a little bit too forceful on her, but then she breaks down immediately and gets into it. So you can see that this still excites her, and she hates that it excites her. But it excites her that this affair is going on still, that he's forcing himself into her, if you will. But it excites her. It excites her, but she feels bad about it. It's eventually Richard Gere hires a private investigator to look into the affair, and he finds out about the affair. He ends up going to the Frenchman's house, and he ends up finding a snow globe at the Frenchman's house. This snow globe was gifted by Richard Gere to his wife, and his wife ended up giving it to the Frenchman, and this drives him really over the wall. He gets so broken. Like he's shaking. He says he keeps saying, "I feel sick. I feel sick." He's like shaking. His body is physically shaking. He's trying to sit down, stand up. He's unsteady on his feet. He's holding the snow globe at his hands. His hands are shaking. He's looking at the Frenchman, and then in a crime of passion, he hits the Frenchman over the head with the snow globe. He is so broken emotionally. He hits him over the head with the snow globe, and he immediately regrets it afterwards. It's a crime of passion. That's what we call that. And he's freaking out about it, but he cleans up the mess. He doesn't want to incriminate his wife and all of this stuff, so he cleans up the mess and he dumps the body, and then the police come because the Frenchman put his wife's number into his address book. So the police come to investigate the murder with talking to the wife, and of course Richard Gere protects the wife, and then eventually she finds out that he ended up killing the Frenchman, and they have a confrontation. And then Richard Gere breaks down at her, saying he wanted to take her out at that moment, not the Frenchman. Because in that moment, the sheer amount of betrayal, the sheer amount of emotional turmoil that Richard Gere was feeling, it drove him over the edge at that very precise moment. It's a place where you can't necessarily turn back from, but you hit that boiling point. Once you hit that boiling point, there's no telling what you could do. You lose all self-control. It's a very understandable reaction, what he did, especially considering near the end of the film, the wife picks up the snow globe and looks inside. There's like a open compartment. She pulls out the glass ball part, and inside the little compartment is a note that he wrote for her, saying, "To my best friend, the best part of every day." Like, you realize just how much he loved her, how much Richard Gere wanted to commit to this family, to this relationship, and how hard he was trying, that this betrayal drove him that far gone. And so she agrees to help hide the incrimination, hide his involvement. She agrees to help him out with that, but he's going to turn himself in. And she says, "Don't turn yourself in. We can move past this. We can just move somewhere together and start over." They rekindle their relationship. Too bad it took a murder of a Frenchman to do that, but at the end of the film, she's talking about running away together, and Richard Gere says, "That sounds very nice." And then the camera zooms out, and they're parked in front beside a police station at a red light. And they don't show you anything else. They don't show him going in. They don't show them driving past the road. They just cut to credits right there. It was very well done. This is a very deep and a very dark and a very emotional movie that explores the raw emotions of what it means to have an affair, basically. And I think they really did a very good job portraying that from this perspective. I think it's based off a book. I haven't read the book, but you can look it up for yourself if you want to do that. Either way, after watching this, I could definitely say it's worth a watch if you're into this type of movie. It's not going to make you a fan of this type of genre, so if you're going to go into this film and you've never watched a drama before, this isn't going to make you a fan of it. But if you're already a fan of these types of movies, then I'd say give this one a look.